Okay, this video is going to be a comparison between the best image that I can get on the OLED versus the best I can get with the plasma. And it is crazy that there is a comparison. Like that just by itself, that I'm doing a video, me, on my opinion, there is a comparison. And you have to rely on my description because the video is not a fair representation of what I'm seeing. So, but you can maybe notice some differences that might be close to what is going on. So what I have here is an unfair comparison because I have a 4K image and I have HDR. So this is the OLED on HDR 4K using black frame insertion. You can see on the video, due to the shutter speed of the recordings, you can see that black bar going top to bottom, which is so interesting. You can see that on the video. I cannot see that, of course, in front of me. I cannot see that, and it looks super bright. I'm looking at the video. It looks a lot dimmer than what I'm looking at. So here are the settings I have. On Windows, I have HDR on, and I have the brightness, so the paper white brightness of the HDR on Windows, I have that to the maximum. And then my settings on the TV, I have game optimizer. You see it's in HDR, and I have the brightness 50. And the reason I do this, the brightness on 50 on the OLED, because I think I'm getting better colors. It's very difficult to notice the difference, but I do notice that it gives me a little bit better colors. I don't know why. And I have HDR tone mapping on because HDIG is better, but because I'm using black frame insertion, if I turn off on HDIG, the image is super dim. Actually, I'm looking at the recording. It doesn't look as bad on the recordings as I'm looking at here. In front of me, it looks a lot dimmer than on the recording. I don't know why. It looks super dim, like dead, completely dead. I cannot use HDIG with black frame insertion, even if I turn off the OLED brightness all the way to 100%. I tried that already. So I have to turn on HDR tone mapping and the color settings. Let me show you. I have 55, which is the default, and I have 150. That's it. And I'm gonna show you that black frame insertion. So you see I have True Motion on, Motion Pro high. So this is the way I would use the OLED. I have to use black frame insertion because I love that when I move the camera, no blur. Amazing. I love that. So I have a 4K image that drops in resolution in movement, but it's not noticeable. It is. I'm okay with that. It looks great. I love the image quality. So now let's talk about the colors, because this is the reason there is a comparison. On HDR, on this OLED TV, I lose color. I lose the color quality. I notice that. When I use the OLED on SDR, I have better colors. That's just my perception. And my perception cannot be wrong. I'm not an expert, but I'm a customer. And when I'm looking at something, it's just the way I feel. I might be wrong. It doesn't matter. It's just my perception. And nobody can tell me that I don't have a right to an opinion. I have a right to an opinion because I spent $1,000 on this TV. So my perception right now of this image is that it looks super clean. It is 4K. I move the camera. I keep that resolution. Super fluid, super responsive. I like it a lot. I like it. But I do feel that the colors can be better, and the image looks a little bit dead. So that, you know, the brightness that is hitting the building is not incandescent, so it does not look realistic. It is not impressive at all. This image is not impressive. It's nice, it's clean, it's fluid, it feels responsive, but it's not impressive. It's not like, wow, this is just amazing. It doesn't wow me, to be honest. It does not. So I'm gonna show you now, and the reason why I showed this game, and I have so many games, so this is a great example for colors, especially because it's a colorful game. I like it, and it's super bright. So this is HDR, okay? So I'm going to compare now this HDR image with an SDR on the plasma, okay? So let me go ahead, turn on my plasma, and change real quick the settings. I don't want to stop the video, so I just already turned on the plasma, which you can see is not perfect black, but that's okay. The OLED is much better, of course, in that area. So let me, where is my mouse? Okay, so let me change on the settings. Let me change the show on this display, so I'm only showing that here, and let me turn off, so the HDR is off, of course. Okay, so 1080p display, 60 frames. Let's see how the game looks. Boom. So let's see what we have here. Let me get the remote. Now there's something wrong now. Let me turn. Yeah, the game crashed because it was on HDR. I have to open it from the beginning. So let me open the game. Yeah, so you see the image on the recording looks a little bit saturated, exaggerated. That's not what I'm looking at here. Just looking at this part, this is looking already so much better. Just looking at this logo here, it's looking already better. You will see. You'll see, and you have to trust me because I'm looking at it. So it is my opinion, and I have the right to an opinion. I'm not an expert, but I love video games, and I love to have a great image, and I spend a lot of money to get that. So yes, not on the plasma. The plasma is $25, which, by the way, is cheaper than the cable. The HDMI 2.1 cable for the OLED is more expensive. It's twice the amount as the plasma TV, which is crazy. So yeah, let's see what we have here. Let me look at the settings on the plasma. That's already looking better. So let me look at the settings on the plasma. Make sure that I have the settings correctly. Yes, color temperature on normal, which I like warm. But warm is gonna be too different from the OLED. So let's see. Let's go to the same place. Let's see how it looks. This is already looking better. I don't have to I don't even have to, it's so obvious. Like it is obvious. It is not even close. Not even close. And I'm not getting the best picture quality. Let me lower the volume. Let me just shut it off. So I'm not even getting the best picture quality I can get on the plasma because I can do resolution scaling. I can do 4K to get no aliasing. So let me, for this video, real quick, let me just turn up the pixel density a little bit. I can do more than that, but yeah, just to get a little bit better image. Okay, so there's not even a comparison. Like, this is better, no question on my mind. So I said on the previous video, oh, I fixed the OLED, I figured out how to get HDR on every single game, and I'm happy with that. And I am happy. It's a 4K image, and the HDR games, they look amazing. But if you turn on black frame insertion, which that's the only reason I bought the OLED. For me, 4K, it doesn't matter if when I move the camera, it's 300p. I don't care about having a 4K image that I move the camera, I do this, and it's 300p. Maybe people that play like this, people that have a mouse instead of a remote, instead of a controller, and they do this. I mean, you see, they do this. They play like this. And there's nothing wrong about it. That's just the way you like to play. If you like to do this, that's okay. If you do this all the time, you don't care about motion resolution. Because you're never appreciating motion resolution. You have a mouse on the hand and you're doing this. Unless you are driving, you don't see any problem with the motion blur. So on a shooter, people care more about responsiveness, because they want to see that. Okay, they want to feel that responsiveness. Which, by the way, this feels extremely responsive. It is not better than the OLED. Not even close. But this feels super responsive. The OLED is just crazy responsive. At 120 frames, at 60, I don't notice the difference. To be honest, I don't notice a difference in responsiveness. But I don't do this because I play with a remote. So when I play with the controller, I do this. The controller cannot do that fast movement. And I love to do this and see that the image stays, the resolution on the image stays there. So I would rather play with the OLED, because when you get an HDR game, it does look amazing, but to get a better picture quality, I have to turn off black frame insertion, and then you turn off that, you move the camera, and you have sample and hold crap. So I'm not even gonna bring up the price, because when we're talking about this cost me $25, and then I spend only on the HDMI cable of the OLED TV $50. So the HDMI 2.1 cable was more expensive than this plasma TV by itself. There's no competition, of course. It's not even close. So what I would say to anyone, if you are playing on a budget, there's nothing else to look at. Like, there's nowhere else to look at. Don't get a 1440p LCD IPS. Don't get anything else. Get a plasma TV. You're going to get the most beautiful picture quality with perfect motion resolution. This is amazing. This looks better than the OLED. And the OLED settings are correct. The Windows settings are correct. The NVIDIA control panel settings are correct. I am getting the proper brightness. There's nothing wrong with my settings. Nothing wrong. I've been playing with all the settings for hours and hours and days and days. And I'm telling you, after that, still the plasma looks